Good morning. Thank you for joining me today. This morning we'll be in Numbers chapter 22, verse 21, through chapter 23, verse 30. So Balaam got up in the morning, saddled his donkey, and went with the princes of Moab. Then God's anger was kindled because he went, and the angel of the Lord stood in the road to oppose him. Now he was riding on his donkey, and his 2 servants were with him. And the donkey saw the angel of the Lord standing in the road, with his sword drawn in his hand. So the donkey turned aside from the road and went into the field. But Balaam beat the donkey to make her turn back to the road. Then the angel of the Lord stood in a path among the vineyards, where there was a wall on either side. And when the donkey saw the angel of the Lord, she pressed herself into the wall, and crushed Balaam's foot against the wall, so he beat her again. Then the angel of the Lord went further, and stood in a narrow place, where there was no way to turn, either to the right or to the left. When the donkey saw the angel of the Lord, she crouched down under Balaam. Then Balaam was angry, and he beat his donkey with a staff. Then the Lord opened the mouth of the donkey, and she said to Balaam, "What have I done to you that you have beaten me these 3 times? And Balaam said to the donkey, "You have made me look stupid. I wish there was a sword in my hand, for I would kill you right now." The donkey said to Balaam, Am not I your donkey that you have ridden? Ever since I was yours until this day, have I ever attempted to treat you this way? And he said, No. Then the Lord opened Balaam's eyes, and he saw the angel of the Lord standing in the way with his sword drawn in his hand. So he bowed his head and threw himself down with his face to the ground. The angel of the Lord said to him, "Why have you beaten your donkey these 3 times? Look, I came out to oppose you, because what you are doing is perverse before me. The donkey saw me and turned from me these 3 times. If she had not turned from me, I would have killed you, but saved her alive." Balaam said to the angel of the Lord, "I have sinned, for I did not know that you stood against me in the road. So now, if it is evil in your sight, I will go back home." But the angel of the Lord said to Balaam, "Go with the men, but you may only speak the word that I will speak to you." So Balaam went with the princes of Balak. When Balak heard that Balaam was coming, he went out to meet him at a city of Moab, which was on the border of the Arnon, at the boundary of his territory. Balak said to Balaam, "Did I not send again and again to you to summon you? Why did you not come to me? Am I not able to honor you?" Balaam said to Balak, "Look, I have come to you. Now am I able to speak just anything? I must speak only the word that God puts in my mouth." So Balaam went with Balak, and they came to Kiriath Huzoth. And Balak sacrificed bulls and sheep, and sent some to Balaam and to the princes who were with him. Then on the next morning Balak took Balaam and brought him up to Bamoth Baal. From there he saw the extent of the nation. Balaam said to Balak, "Build me 7 altars here, and prepare for me here 7 bulls and 7 rams." So Balak did just as Balaam had said, and Balak and Balaam then offered on each altar a bull and ram. Then Balaam said to Balak, "Station yourself by your burnt offering, and I will go off. Perhaps the Lord will come to meet me, and whatever he reveals to me I will tell you." Then he went to a deserted height. Then God met Balaam, who said to him, "I have prepared 7 altars, and I have offered on each altar a bull and a ram." Then the Lord put a message in Balaam's mouth and said, "Return to Balak and speak what I tell you." So he returned to him, and he was still standing by his burnt offering, he and all his princes of Moab. Then Balaam uttered his oracle, saying, "Balak, the king of Moab, brought me from Aram, out of the mountains of the east, saying, 'Come, pronounce a curse on Jacob for me. Come, denounce Israel.' How can I curse one whom God has not cursed? Or how can I denounce one whom the Lord has not denounced? For from the top of the rocks I see them, from the hills I watch them. Indeed, a nation that lives alone, and it will not be reckoned among the nations. Who can count the dust of Jacob, or number the 4th part of Israel? Let me die the death of the upright, and let the end of my life be like theirs." Then Balak said to Balaam, "What have you done to me? I brought you to curse my enemies, but on the contrary you have only blessed them." Balaam replied, "Must I not be careful to speak what the Lord has put in my mouth?" Balak said to him, Please come with me to another place from which you can observe them. You will see only a part of them, but you will not see all of them. Curse them for me from there." So Balak brought Balaam to the field of Zophim, to the top of Pisgah, where he built 7 altars, and offered a bull and a ram on each altar. And Balaam said to Balak, "Station yourself here by your burnt offering, while I meet the Lord there." Then the Lord met Balaam and put a message in his mouth and said, "Return to Balak and speak what I tell you." When Balaam came to him, he was still standing by his burnt offering, along with the princes of Moab. And Balak said to him, "What has the Lord spoken?" Balaam uttered his oracle and said, "Rise up, Balak, and hear. Listen to me, son of Zippor. God is not a man that he should lie, nor a human being that he should change his mind. Has he said, and will he not do it? Or has he spoken, and will he not make it happen? Indeed, I have received a command to bless. He has blessed, and I cannot reverse it. He has not looked on iniquity in Jacob, nor has he seen trouble in Israel. The Lord their God is with them. His acclamation as king is among them. God brought them out of Egypt. They have, as it were, the strength of a wild bull. For there is no spell against Jacob, nor is there any divination against Israel. At this time it must be said of Jacob and of Israel, Look at what God has done. Indeed, the people will rise up like a lioness, and like a lion raises himself up, they will not lie down until they eat their prey and drink the blood of the slain. Balak said to Balaam, Neither curse them at all, nor bless them at all. But Balaam replied to Balak, Did I not tell you all that the Lord speaks I must do? Balak said to Balaam, Come, please, I will take you to another place. Perhaps it will please God to let you curse them from me from there. So Balak took Balaam to the top of Peor, that looks toward the wilderness. Then Balaam said to Balak, Build 7 altars here for me, and prepare 7 bulls and 7 rams. So Balak did as Balaam had said, and offered a bull and a ram on each altar. I'm just struck this time by how incredibly silly everything is here. Not that it's low stakes, and this isn't like some pagan king who's going to try to attack Israel, but in that you have Balaam here, who is summoned by Balak, and Numbers 22:5. Look, a nation has come up out of Egypt. They cover the face of the earth, and they are settling next to me. So come and curse this nation for me, for they are too powerful for me. And Balaam immediately gets the response from God. 22:12. God said to Balaam, You must not go with them. You must not curse the people, for they are blessed. So he knows the answer from God. These people are blessed. But despite that, he entreats the Lord again. And then he goes up with Balak, and they build altars. And he's like, nope, still not cursed. And he tells him to go back. And it's like, nope, still not cursed. They're blessed. And build an altar again. And nope, still not cursed. They're blessed. It's just, you're not quite getting the message here. And thus, what God says in 23:19, God is not a man that he should lie, nor a human being that he should change his mind. Has he said, and will he not do it? Or has he spoken, and will he not make it happen? So God isn't like us in that he is affected by the whims of emotion and passion, and thus waffles between choices. There is a polemic out there used by the Muslims that they just quote the first 5 words of this, first 3 words in Hebrew, and use it as some sort of definitive proof that God can't become a man, and that they say, oh, God is not a man. So, without actually quoting the rest of the verse that he should lie, nor a human being that he should change his mind. So that's why it's so important to have context to not only when you're reading the Bible, but whenever you're interpreting speech. It's just an important fact of deciphering information. Yeah. And also, there's this misunderstanding on Balak's part here of why what Balaam says comes true. It's not because of anything that Balaam is doing. It's because he's in the points where what he's saying is coming true. It's because he's repeating the words of the Lord. So, carrying on. Luke chapter 1, 57 through 80. Now the time came for Elizabeth to have her baby, and she gave birth to a son. Her neighbors and relatives heard that the Lord had shown great mercy to her, and they rejoiced with her. On the 8th day, they came to circumcise the child, and they wanted to name him Zechariah after his father. But his mother replied, "No, he must be named John." They said to her, "But none of your relatives bear this name." So they made signs to the baby's father, inquiring what he wanted to name his son. He asked for a writing tablet and wrote, "His name is John," and they were all amazed. Immediately Zechariah's mouth was opened and his tongue released, and he spoke, blessing God. All their neighbors were filled with fear, and throughout the entire hill country of Judea all these things were talked about. All who heard these things kept them in their hearts, saying, "What then will this child be?" For the Lord's hand was indeed with him. Then his father Zechariah was filled with the Holy Spirit and prophesied, "Blessed be the Lord God of Israel, because he has come to help and has redeemed his people. For he has raised up a horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David, as he spoke through the mouth of his holy prophets from long ago, that we should be saved from our enemies and from the hand of all who hate us. He has done this to show mercy to our ancestors and to remember his holy covenant, the oath that he swore to our ancestor Abraham. The oath grants that we, being rescued from the hand of our enemies, may serve him without fear, and holiness and righteousness before him for as long as we live. And you, child, will be called the prophet of the Most High, for you will go before the Lord to prepare his ways, to give his people knowledge of salvation through the forgiveness of their sins. Because of our God's tender mercy, the dawn will break upon us from on high, to give light to those who sit in darkness and in the shadow of death, to guide our feet into the way of peace." And the child kept growing and becoming strong in spirit, and he was in the wilderness until the day he was revealed to Israel. So, to give light to those who sit in darkness. There is prophecy concerning that. Yeah, Isaiah 47. Another messianic prophecy. Yeah, here's my servant, and 42:1. Here's my servant whom I support, my chosen one, in whom I take pleasure. I have placed my spirit on him. He will make just decrees for the nations. He will not cry or shout. He will not publicize himself in the streets. A crushed reed he will not break. A dim wick he will not extinguish. He will faithfully make just decrees. He will not grow dim or be crushed before establishing justice on the earth. The coastlands will wait in anticipation for his decrees. This is what the true God, the Lord, says, the one who created the sky and stretched it out, the one who fashioned the earth and everything that lives on it, the one who gives breath to the people on it and life to those who live on it. I, the Lord, officially commission you. I take hold of your hand. I protect you and make you a covenant mediator for people and a light to the nations, to open blind eyes, to release prisoners from dungeons, those who live in darkness from prisons. So Zechariah recognized the messianic import of his son's role in that. So, what does John mean? Johannes. Jehovah is a gracious giver, and that certainly proved true in the gift of his son, Jesus Christ. And I had one more thought, but come on, brain. I'm not sure if this is necessarily represented here. Let me check the NASB first. But in Luke 1:76, and you child will be called the prophet of the Most High. And later on, you have people inquiring about Jesus and wondering about his role. And so some were thinking that he was, I can't remember names this morning, Elijah, and some were the prophet, or others something else. But I think what stands out to me there is that they're looking for the prophet to precede the coming of the Messiah. And so Zechariah here says, you will be called the prophet of the Most High. So seems like he was identifying him as such, as the precursor, the harbinger of the Messiah. Psalm 58, verses 1 through 11. Do you rulers really pronounce just decisions? Do you judge people fairly? No, you plan how to do what is unjust. You deal out violence in the earth. The wicked turn aside from birth. Liars go astray as soon as they are born. Their venom is like that of a snake, like a deaf serpent that does not hear, that does not respond to the magicians or to a skilled snake charmer. O God, break the teeth in their mouths. Smash the jawbones of the lions, O Lord. Let them disappear like water that flows away. Let them wither like grass. Let them be like a snail that melts away as it moves along. Let them be like stillborn babies that never see the sun. Before the kindling is even placed under your pots, he will sweep it away along with both the raw and cooked meat. The godly will rejoice when they see vengeance carried out. They will bathe their feet in the blood of the wicked. Then observers will say, yes, indeed, the godly are rewarded. Yes, indeed, there is a God who judges in the earth. A prayer of punishment for the wicked. And it seems particularly pointed at the wicked in authority. That is, in verse 1, do you rulers really pronounce just decisions? So it's asking the Lord to avenge the godly and pronounce punishment on those wicked rulers. And finally, Proverbs 11, verses 12 and 13. The one who denounces his neighbor lacks wisdom, but the one who has discernment keeps silent. The one who goes about slandering others reveals secrets, but the one who is trustworthy conceals a matter. Yeah. Loose lips sink ships. Anywho, hope you have a great day. Thanks for joining me today. Bye.